Hey, what's going on everyone? It's Joe Yoon, aka Joe Therapy, and in today's video, I'm going to go over how to hip hinge and the importance of hip hinging. So if you're into that, stay tuned. All right, so the first one is going to use a PVC pipe, and we are going to put this on our back. So first thing to do to get set up is place the PVC pipe or the stick, broomstick, whatever you got at home, on your back, and make sure your head, your upper back, and your lower back, and the back of your butt is touching the PVC pipe. And then from here, make sure your low back is flat. So make sure there's no space here. So tuck that hip under just like this. And now we have a nice neutral back. And now we're going to push our hips back, bend the knees just a little bit, just like this. And then you can see how that can apply to things like deadlifting, squatting, kettlebell swings, a lot of things. But we want to keep that back fairly neutral, and everyone's going to be a little bit different. So if you have a little bit of a low back arch, you don't have to freak out. It doesn't have to be totally flat, but we want to stay fairly neutral in a hip hinge. So that's the first way to get into a proper hip hinge. I'm going to show you some alternative ways that will help you too if this one doesn't work. The second way to properly get into a hip hinge, or an alternative way, is using a wall as feedback. So a lot of times people struggle when they do a hip hinge is that they don't shift their weight backwards. So we're going to use a wall to give you feedback. That way you know if you're doing it right. So hip hinge, when we were doing the stick, we were pushing it back. But sometimes a lot of people just tend to just fall over. So we're going to use a wall, take a small step away from the wall, maybe a big step. And then from here, we're going to push the hips back and bend the knees until the butt touches the wall. That way, when your upper body is going forward, your hips are going backwards, and you get a great hip hinge movement. And again, squatting, deadlifting, it makes sure that you're doing this properly. So using the wall is a great tool to work on your hip hinge. Now let's go to the next one. And the last hip hinge exercise is using a medium weight to give you some feedback. So hold this in front of you. And imagine like there's something on the floor and you kind of want to pick it up. So here, what you're going to do naturally is push your hips back. And that's because we have a weight up here. And if we don't hip hinge and push our hips back, we are going to fall over. So this is a great way to naturally hip hinge, unless something's wrong with you and you just fall over. But make sure you don't fall over, okay? So hold this here, pretend you're trying to pick something up on the floor, and naturally your butt should go back to keep you balanced. And that's it for the hip hinge exercise. So to review, we have the PVC pipe, which is a really great way to give you feedback on making sure your back is straight. Then we have the wall, where it gives you feedback to make sure you're hip hinging and pushing your weight backwards. And then the last one almost automatically gets you there because you're holding the weight out in front of you. And if you don't hip hinge back and push your hips back, you're going to fall over. So those are three great ways to learn how to hip hinge. And again, really good for squatting properly, deadlifting properly, and a lot of these other movements that you need to get in this athletic position. So if you enjoyed that video, make sure you subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and comment down below. Let me know how you like this video.